I guess I just wanted to kick off. I mean, this is obviously a I mean, almost everybody on this call is actively working in the refugee space. So we're all feeling we'll call it the challenge of this moment. And I would say possibly, I mean, even more in the DMV area than anywhere else, with all the things that are happening there. So, I just wanted to start just because I feel like this is such a great grounding, is to actually read a quote. It's by somebody named Nick Cave. And he says, unlike cynicism, hopefulness is hard earned, makes demands on us, and can often feel like the most indefensible and lonely place on earth. Hopefulness is not a neutral position. It's adversarial. It's the warrior emotion that can lay waste to cynicism. Each redemptive or loving act, as small as you like, such as reading to your little boy or showing him a thing you love or singing him a song or putting on his shoes, keeps the devil down in the hole. It says the world and its inhabitants have value and are worth defending. It says the world is worth believing in. In time, we come to find that it is so. So I wanted to just start with that because I think it's easy for all of us, no matter where we are in the fight, to almost feel silly feeling hopeful right now. So it's helpful, at least to me, to repeat these things to myself. So I thought it might be helpful to others. And the people, folks on this call, you are the warriors. And I am always, this is one of my favorite things is actually meeting with people like you. This is my fuel, because it reminds me of all of the good people everywhere that are out there fighting the good fight for those who can't fight at the moment for themselves. So honestly, bless you all for the work that you're doing. It's humbling to know you. So I'm going to start and just go through, just give you an overview. Actually, before I'll pull up slides in a second. Well, let me see. Yeah, I'll start with slides. Give me one sec. I'm going to share my screen. So we want to just talk, as you know, about WelcomeNST and what we're doing right now. The reason I wanted to start, and I mentioned this kind of already, but literally everyone on this call, which once again is been reinforced by all of your introductions, are the people that walk the walk, right? You are the real deal. You're down in the ditch doing the digging, and that's the reason we wanted you on. We were hoping to have a call with people exactly like you. Each of you are part of a mighty grassroots network, not all the same networks. I mean, going through the list of organizations that you've shared here tonight, I mean, that's so much power across those organizations. And then, of course, the people in your circle are looking for something that they can do. And that's true, I think, across the board. I was at another event last night, another grassroots organization meeting, and everyone, I mean, everywhere I go, I feel like I'm guessing you're finding the same thing. People are trying to figure out what they can do, right? These are people that want to do something. It's just so hard to figure out what to do right now. So with that, I'll give you a little overview on Welcome NST. Welcome NST's mission is to unleash the power of community to offer refuge to both refugees and immigrants. And we do that by forming neighborhood support teams, or we call them NSTs. And those NSTs welcome a family into their neighborhoods. So we started in 2021. I'll give you just a quick overview, and most of you will recognize that date as being connected. I think a lot of organizations started in August of 2021 in the context of the Afghan evacuation. My family had spent time. That's a long story. We've done humanitarian projects all through my kids growing up. And over time, we started working with refugees. And in that context, we ended up spending time in Greece over a series of years with Afghan refugees in a refugee camp. And we got to know a lot of Afghans, and they became our friends. And those people literally changed our lives. Like, we have never been the same. And I know that others here can nod and understand that phenomenon. They redefined our family. So in 2020, fast forward to 2021 when the Afghan evacuation began, and we all remember the imagery of um, human beings clinging to the outside of planes as they took off. There was no, there was no other option for me than to engage in some way. So over those years, we'd fundraised for lots of projects for Afghans. So I had a network of people. I don't come from the resettlement space. I'm actually a marketer, consultant by trade. Used back in the day. So I reached out to my network. I talked to Larry Tobin. Some of you know the Shapiro Foundation, and sort of some people have worked with the Shapiro Foundation on this call. Larry was a friend, and I reached out to him and I said, "What do we need? What do we need?" And he said, uh, "Well, the White House is trying to decide how many people to put on those planes, and I'm sure everybody here recognizes at the time we were at a historic low in immigration, nothing like what we're seeing now. We thought that was bad." But we knew we didn't have the infrastructure, to receive those people. So I reached out to my network and I started forming these things. And this is started in Massachusetts, for these things called neighborhood support teams, or NSTs. And that was pre-private resettlement. So we partnered with a resettlement agency in order to do that. They would receive the families. We formed the NSTs, and every morning we meet and match them together. Every NST was going to raise money and find housing and welcome one family into their neighborhood. Those early efforts, we engaged 1,500 people, and those 1,500 people, mostly in Mass, a little bit in New Hampshire, welcomed 400 Afghans into their communities. So it was a massive onslaught. And for any of you who are operating during that time, I'm sure you experienced that yourselves, trying to keep up with all the goodwill, which is always a challenge, but an amazing gift as well. So since then, we've built a national network of more than 4,500 neighbors across 37 states, as you read here. And I like to highlight the fact that half of those states are red and half are blue. I'm reminding us all that and I know you know this as well, that there are really good people doing good things across everywhere we are, everywhere you can go in this country. And I think we are actually closer to about 1,300 newcomers that have been welcomed by those NSTs at this point. So that makes us the largest privately funded, community-powered private resettlement organization in the country. And so that's been a crazy trajectory for us. And today we are laser focused on the DMV area, and I'll get into a little bit more as to why. So that's just a little bit about us. And I'll pause kind of halfway through. If you have questions though, in the meantime, just throw them in the chat or raise your hand. I can't see the whole screen, so Timothy's gonna manage that. So just in case I can't see your square. All right, so here's where we are today. Obviously, that's a great story, but we all know that things have changed significantly in this year. Obviously, we're all operating in a very different world than we were 9 months ago, right? So today we all know that the doors have largely, not completely, but largely slammed shut for refugees seeking safety. We also are keenly aware in this Zoom room, that supports are dwindling due to lack of funding. So we are locking arms with grassroots partners across DC, Maryland, and Virginia to unleash the power of neighbors to welcome Afghans. As again, probably most people here know, our Afghan allies have been trying to find refuge for 4 years. Many of them are in pretty horrible circumstances, and don't have a way to work, to feed their families, or send their kids to school, or be safe. So by some, I don't even know what it is. I don't know if it's a miracle, but by some crazy stroke of fate, we'll call it, this legal pathway is still open. And there's so many people who want to be in the DMV area, and we never have enough teams to welcome them. So things are shifting, funding is shifting, everything's shifting, and you all know that. So starting on October 1st, we are going to be working directly with our overseas partner to identify families who have been approved for as SIVs and approved to travel, and we're going to match them with neighborhood support teams in the DMV. And one reason that we can do that is because we have been given a grant by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints to give a sponsor fund directly to our teams of $1,000 per person welcomed up to $5,000. So that is what we are doing. I'm going to pause for a second because that's a lot of information. Usually I don't pause for a little bit longer, but that's a lot of information. And I know that all of you are very engaged in this space. So are there any questions or any need for clarification there before I move on? Okay, let's keep going then. All right. So we are looking for people to join us. I mentioned our mission statement already. This, what I love about this call to action is it really is something driven by love and not hate, by faith and not fear, and by compassion and not anger. So we call this the superpower of community at work. To me, the superpower of community is to welcome, right? Essentially to bring someone from the outside who doesn't have their people and to the inside where they're surrounded by care. We all know what it's like when you're part of a community and something goes wrong and your community shows up for you. I think everyone has needed that at points in their lives. I know I have. And what it feels like when you are in need and somebody shows up to fill a need that you couldn't feel for yourself. And to me, that is the superpower of community at work. So this is kind of an opportunity to bring someone from the outside to the inside. So we have a couple videos, and just to give you a sense, some people this might be obvious, and some people it might not. They're very short. This is actually neither one of these are produced by us. I kind of like using other people's videos because it's less promotional and more real. This is actually of a church that welcomed an Afghan family a couple months ago. So I'm just going to play this.
Hi, my name is Donna Whitman, and my husband and I have been here at the Irvine campus since it started in 2023. A local partner who helps resettle refugees was looking for a church to welcome a family that had just landed in Orange County. So our group actually started as an opportunity for me to invite people from Irvine that might be interested in welcoming this family. And as a result, we were able to gather people who had amazing but ordinary skills. They are a Muslim family, a young family with 3 children. They have 2 school-aged daughters and a 7-month-old baby boy. From the start, they had to find a job, get a driver's license, enroll their children in school, get connected to social services, all of those things with limited English and not having any other family here that could help guide them. Well, because of your generosity, we've been able to do some incredible things for this family. Through the help of Priscilla from the Compassion team, she's been able to leverage her relationships with South County Outreach with the food bank. She's also been able to help us furnish their apartment through Giving Children Hope's warehouse. And crazy thing is that once the husband got his driver's license, we started praying for a car to be donated. And somebody donated a car out of the blue to Eastside. Thank you, Eastside. Your generosity is changing lives.
So I mean, that's just an example of a church, obviously, that welcomed an Afghan family. And I think we like that because it just gives people an idea of what an NST actually does, which I'll talk about in more detail in a sec. This is a super short video, but this just happened. These are actually sisters. This actually just happened in Virginia. There was a team that started there, and these sisters hadn't seen each other for 5 years. Both of their parents were were being targeted by the Taliban, and their family had been spread all over the globe. And these sisters, this is just a quick video that they just sent us. We just received this a couple days ago. of this family, these sisters reuniting. Some of you probably know the situation that these SIVs are dealing with. I don't, some of you also probably know about Task Force Argo. So that's our partner that's identifying the families abroad, tracking them, helping them get their documents, get their travel scheduled, all those things. So they're our partner that identifies families, and we meet with them regularly to match them. I asked her yesterday if she could send me just a quick, summary of somebody who is waiting, who's trying to get here. And she sent me the story of Muhammad, who has finally, after 5 years, got approved for to as an SIV, and then went to the betrayal to find out that the travel loan program has been suspended. So he wasn't able to travel, and he wasn't able to get support relocating. So after all of that time, he's got three young girls, and she said Muhammad was not only hit with this crisis, which meant in the sense that he couldn't travel, his wife and his young daughters were as well. And she talked about that under Taliban rule, and most of us know this. Some of this was actually new to me, though. Afghanistan is an open air prison. We know this for women, as they can no longer work, study, or even walk alone. And she said these are some of the things that they have banned. They've banned education. Many of us know that. Employment obviously is forbidden. Women can only travel with a male guardian, even for medical care. They can't speak publicly or have their voices heard. And female doctors are banned from practice, and male doctors cannot treat women. So essentially, there's no way for a female to go to the doctor. So these are the kinds of families they're identifying. Task Force Argo is identifying, and we're matching with teams here in the DMV. The reason we're focused on DMV, I should mention, is there are just a few cities in the U.S. where Afghans really, really want to land. And I know DMV isn't a city, it's an area, but the DMV area is at the top of that list. There are constant requests from Afghan families to land in the DMV, and we never have enough help for them. So that's the reason we're doubling down, and hoping to engage your help and getting the word out and sharing with people that this is now an option, and this is an option in the DMV, and helping us identify people that might be willing to help these families and offer refuge. So our goal is to engage 30 neighbors to form 30 neighborhood support teams in the DMV area and match them with 30 families by the end of the year. And I haven't really gone through, probably should have done this earlier, what a neighborhood support team is. It's a group of usually starts with two or three. Actually, can raise your hand if you've been part of something like this already. Because I feel like I'm probably you guys feel like you're super, or maybe you can raise your electronic hand. We got one electronic hand. Okay. So it usually starts with honestly starts with one person, then one person gets their friend or somebody to join with them, and then it kind of mushrooms from there. So we say 3+, but it grows. It definitely grows organically. It's kind of if you build it, they will come kind of a situation. I don't know, Merritt, if that's what you found as well. It's kind of something that once you start, people will join. It's usually friends, fellow churchgoers. We've had a CrossFit gym, we had a Friday night, card/drinking group of women. Any community works. And these people come together, and essentially what they do is they first organize their community, right? So we have lots of resources, training, tools. We have office hours. People can actually speak with a human. and ask questions. We have other NSTs that we've already formed in the area that are resources. And we have a system, that works pretty well. We've done this hundreds of times at this point across the country. So each team will raise money. We have a system where or an option for teams to raise money underneath our 501(c)(3), so that the donations, it's not for us, it's for the families, but the donations can be tax deductible for your donors. And organization, we have a kind of a structure that works, just to organize your people, be sure you have enough support, find somebody who's in charge of education and healthcare and transportation and all benefits, all the things that a family needs when they're restarting their lives. As some of you know, Afghan allies are as far as the category of in resettlement, they're called SIVs, Special Immigrant Visa. Those folks in general are highly educated. Many times there's at least one member that speaks English, not always, but often. So that team will then raise money to help that family restart, and find housing. And housing is hard to find everywhere, turns out. Everywhere we've had these kinds of calls, people are like, you have no idea how hard it is to find housing. I'm like, it's hard. It is hard. And Casey, I think, has welcomed 8 families at this point. I've welcomed several as well. And every time that's the hardest part. And so as I said, we do have the grant that helps a team get started financially, with the objective of helping a team be able to say yes to a family. And then that NST, that neighborhood support team, walks alongside that family for about 6 months on the road to self-sufficiency. So that's kind of fundamentally what an NST does. And in terms of what you can do now, then I'm going to pause and hand it to Casey for a few minutes, and then we'll have some questions at the end, or time for questions. Obviously, you can form an NST. We have an interest form. I'm going to go to the next screen, and I'm going to give you a whole bunch of QR codes. So we'll follow up with an email tomorrow with all these links. But if you're like me and you have every day's crazy and it's now or never, I'm going to give you the next page that has the QR codes so you can do this real time. So you can fill out an interest form and speak with someone from our outreach team. Casey, who you see up above, or at least she's up above my screen, is the head of our outreach team. You can help us spread the word. We desperately need help. All of you are parts of our networks of people that would care about this. We're desperately looking for people to say, I want to learn more. They don't have to say yes. They just have to say, I want to learn more. And then once they fill out this interest form up here, Casey will email them and set up a time to have a conversation so they can ask all their questions and have a one-on-one conversation with a real human being and have their questions answered. And then the last thing, of course, is always donate. We always have to throw that in because funds are so crucial right now for so many reasons. So you also should know that we're holding another info session on the 22nd. So that would be another kind of opportunity to invite your communities and your friends and your networks to join us. We have a partner toolkit that I'm going to let Casey run through real quick after this. And that really just has emails and just all the things that you need in order to, if you want to share. We're going to share that link with you as well. So this next screen is, as I promised, a whole bunch of QR codes in case if you want to do this real time. Otherwise, we'll follow up tomorrow morning with all the links and to all these things, so that's the end of my piece. And I guess, Casey, why don't you run through the partner toolkit, and then we can just pause for any final comments.
Yeah, I will just say, to reiterate the sort of the calls to action that I think are most important now is like Liz had said, certainly forming a team and welcoming a family because of the reasons that Liz said, and families are waiting to come to your area. But the networks are really, your networks are really valuable. We found that the really the only way that this is successful in areas is when we get connected with people who are already there doing the work and have the connections to the right people. Like Liz said, grassroots. And something that just to consider, and some of you I've talked to you about this already, but we are, those that feel as though they are connected in the way of Ken. Maybe not everybody can be as connected as Ken, but like Ken has some networks and wants to serve in that capacity with us. We are going to start, and I'll put this in an email tomorrow as well, but start having weekly 20-minute meetings on Friday mornings to just as a group talk through what are the needs, what are the updates, who are the families that we need to match, and then send folks out into their networks to say, here's 3 families that this is who they are and what they need. And we saw this work very well in the Boston area when we did something similar for Haitian families. The network is huge. So I will send out an email, like Liz said, to all of you with all of the information, including this partner toolkit. And I'm not sure, Liz, that it makes any sense to I don't want to spend all our time going through it, but I can just touch upon really quickly what's in it. And we designed it so that anybody that has networks and wants to be able to share what we are doing without having to remember everything that we've said, you have everything that you need here. So the who we are and the why we're doing what we're doing and where things are now. At the end of the PowerPoint, we have social media templates and email templates that are sort of a plug and play for you to use within your community. To kind of customize yourself as a way to reach out with invite people to.
Thank you for being the fuel that is the movement, even if it doesn't feel like it right now. It's this movement of good people. Everywhere I speak, there are people like you. And it's an incredible, it's just so important for us to recognize that there's so many good people doing so many good things. And thank you for being a part of that movement. It's a beautiful thing. And we're so honored to meet you. So thank you, everybody. Have a great night. We appreciate it.